Hi, and welcome to today's online SpecDD training course. My name is Charles, and I'll be your online instructor for this session. In this lesson, we're going to be covering SpecDD meetings, what type of meetings we have to go through in SpecDD, and the planning that ensues from those meetings. So the different types of meetings listed out here, we have our sprint planning meetings, daily stand-ups, QA daily briefings, sprint review meetings, and a project review meeting. Now, I rarely meet somebody who actually enjoys meetings. Most people find them boring, a waste of time. When actual work could be getting done, they're sitting in a boardroom somewhere trying to stay awake. Now, the reason I think behind these feelings for these meetings is simply that there is no real purpose. A meeting should be short, should be sweet, and to the point. If all meetings were like the meetings that we have in SpecDD, I don't think most people would be against them. The SpecDD meetings are short. They're meant to be very brief, to the point, get your information out there, understand maybe some of the potential hurdles or obstacles, and then get back to work. So like our sprint planning meeting, the dev team meets with the product owner to commit a set of work for a sprint. These shouldn't last more than 1 to 2 hours. The main driving purpose is very clear. We want to get together, we want to figure out what it is that we need to accomplish for this sprint, and then we get to it. Short and sweet. A sprint review meeting is when the dev team, after completing a sprint cycle, demonstrates the working software to the product owner. Okay? Again, the purpose is clear. You bring your working software, your first deliverable of this sprint, to the product owner. Stakeholders could also potentially join and demonstrate it. Demo your working software. That's it. A couple hours at most. Project improvement meeting is a more rare occurrence. This happens every sprint or every day. It is simply a meeting for the teams to look for ways to improve the product and the process. Now these we recommend not to be very often because again, the purpose is clear, but it's very easy to get sidetracked with this meeting. All right? We want to meet together maybe once a quarter, maybe once or twice a year, and we need to figure out what's working, what's not, and look for ways to improve that process. Next, we have our daily dev briefing. Similar to Agile methodology, pretty much exactly the same actually, as the daily stand-up meetings. This is where the dev team meets daily to brief what was done yesterday and what their plan is for today. Again, every person, they keep standing. In Agile Scrum methodology, everybody stays standing. That's why it's called the daily stand-up. Because if you're standing, you're much more aware of how long a meeting has lasted. And really the purpose is simply for everybody to come in, report their progress that they've completed, report the progress that they're doing, listen to everybody else's, and then get back to work. Similarly, the daily QA briefing, that's where the QA team meets to brief what was done yesterday and what will be done today. So essentially a stand-up meeting for the dev team and a stand-up meeting for the QA team. And that's really all the meetings that are included in SpecDD. So let's dive into each specific meeting. First off, we have the sprint planning. Right? Now the parameters for this meeting include the product owner, that is the main attendee. He or she needs to introduce the target of the current sprint. The product owner best understands what it is that the customer wants, what the customer finds valuable, or what needs to be shown to make them happy. So the product owner should know, priority-wise, which one is more important. So the product owner typically comes with a list already prepared. He or she has indicated which one is a higher priority. They also know the cost or time estimations. And then the team can then review this very quickly and select the ones that they think will fit into their current sprint. Right? They then need to break down these specs that the product owner introduces break down these stories into the tasks for them to begin work on. Okay? Now the idea is that the prioritization is the main driving factor for selection. They choose which ones are more valuable to the customer. Now let's say 3 or 4 down the road, down the line, down the list, we have one that's pretty important, but it's going to take a whole entire sprint. Well then, the purpose of this meeting is to figure out, can it be delayed until next sprint, or must it be stuffed into this current sprint? If it can be delayed, then hey, maybe we can take something of a little bit lower priority, but a shorter duration, move it up, and put it into the sprint. Okay. To plan what it is that needs to be done for this sprint. That's the purpose. We then have our sprint review. So just as we had a meeting in the beginning, we need to have a meeting at the end. Now the parameters for this review meeting are simply to demo the finished product functions to the product owner. Okay? In the sprint planning meeting, this is what we discussed needs to be done. In the sprint review, we demonstrate that. Did we or did we not accomplish the goals? This is the question that needs to be asked to the product owner, as well as to all related stakeholders that chose to attend. Since they're the ones requesting the feature, they of course are allowed to attend. Their input is also very important because they're the ones that determine whether or not to accept or reject this working software. The product owner runs this meeting. He or she evaluates the finished functions, and they discuss and prioritize or reprioritize the requirements for the next sprint. Let's say the stakeholder comes in, they see the demo, they say, no, that is not even close to what I asked for. Well, then the product owner needs to step in. The product owner is the passageway, if you will, between the guardian of the passageway, between the stakeholder and the development team. So the product owner can pull out the requirement that they originally came up with. First step is to figure out whether or not the demoed software reflects that requirement. If it does, then the stakeholder needs to be made aware of that fact. And then they need to realize that the requirement was written in accordance with what they originally said they wanted. Now, it's not saying we can't change it, but that's going to take some time. If the requirement is not written, or if the working software is not working as what the requirement is stated, well, then that's on the dev team. And so the product owner and the dev team need to figure out where what broke down, where the miscommunication happened, how come the working software doesn't reflect correctly what the requirement states. So the sprint review meeting is also very important. The daily stand-up meeting. So again, as denoted by the picture, everybody's got to stand up. The parameters, daily, same time, same place, same people. Should be less than 15 minutes. Okay, should not be very long. The dev team and the QA lead should be the attendees. And everybody goes, circle, opposite, whatever order. Everybody answers the same 3 questions. What was done yesterday? What will be done today? 2 questions. What was done yesterday and what will be done today? The QA lead, if they're attending, goes over what defects were added. Everybody can answer. Okay. After the meeting, the team members update the sprint backlog with the hours remaining for tasks that they have worked on during that day. This is typically something done near the end of the day. And the project manager can then update the burn down chart. The QA daily stand-up, same thing, different group of people. Same time, same place. Also got to keep standing, less than 15 minutes. The QA team and the product owner are all attendees. 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What will you do tomorrow? And what obstacles are in your way? In actuality, the previous slide seems to be incorrect. For the daily stand-up of both, it really should be what was done today, what was done yesterday, what will be done today, and what are the obstacles in your way. One key thing similar to Scrum methodology, what obstacles are in your way is up to the product owner to remove those obstacles. Okay? Same thing for the QA daily stand-up. What was done yesterday, what will be done today, and what are the things in your way. Following the meeting, the QA team members update the QA tasks. The QA lead properly assigns out defects found. QA lead should properly assign out the defects directly to the product backlog. Should not be done to the sprint. And the QA lead may need to work with the product owner and the project manager to discuss these defect assignments. The product owner typically needs to review them first before reprioritizing. I have a couple slides in here for SpecDD with multiple team projects. We had discussed this briefly in a previous session, but we'll review it again here. So multiple dev teams, each team may have their own backlog. The team can also share product backlogs. So you have 2 backlogs in this diagram supporting or inputting into 3 different development teams. We have your requirement, which the requirement space holds the items that then are populating the product backlog. And even with multiple dev teams, we can also have multiple QA teams that perform testing for these multiple dev teams. The defects found can be submitted to the same backlog, or they can be shared among multiple backlogs. Okay. The planning for SpecDD, most people feel agile methodologies, the idea behind agile is to be quick, to be efficient. There's really no need to lay out a plan. That's simply not true. Planning, while it should not be a long, arduous process, still needs to occur, and it is still very important for any development methodology, not just SpecDD. But in SpecDD, with our DevSuite tool at TechExcel, we actually have a very easy way for planning, for visualizing as well. The requirement road mapping, we simply have a storyboard. We can list out all the requirements that have been created from the product owner, from the stakeholders, and we can easily see the priorities, the value of importance to the end user, and we can prioritize accordingly. The product owner simply can take this view and drag and drop the requirements, the specs, into the product backlog as stories. The task board, again, we're still in DevSuite. The task board really helps each developer self-plan. Okay, the product owner and the dev leads may assign out and say, in this sprint, this is what needs to get done. So we have a list of stories, we have a list of tasks, and they get assigned out to a developer. Well, each developer then needs to manage his or her time efficiently, and they need to plan out what they want to do each day. Each sprint cycle being 2 to 4 weeks, they have a lot of days to figure out what it is that they need to accomplish. And this storyboard, this task board, really helps with that. Again, it's a visual, graphical representation of the to-do items that they need to accomplish. Workload planning works kind of in the same way. For each sprint, for each individual developer, we can see how percentage of the workload has been completed, what is left, how much time remaining, and how many completed points they have. If you only use one of these metrics, well, then the other metrics won't show up. A very efficient way of planning each person's workload for a sprint. So, thanks for joining us. Hope you learned a little bit about SpecDD's meeting, as well as the planning that goes into those meetings, and of course the tools of DevSuite that help with SpecDD. Until next time, goodbye.